Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another session. I'm really excited about today's episode because one of the things I'm going to be talking about is how to truly enjoy this time of the year without being highly anxious. And yes, believe it or not, it is really, truly possible. If you are anything like me, you have entered into this season feeling like on top of all the things you're already doing, your average regular stuff, if you're a mom, like mom things, school, laundry, cooking, dishes, housework, taking care of yourself, taking care of the family. If you're not a mom, your work, your life, the things you're already doing. On top of all that, there has now been figuring out holiday plans, figuring out dinners, figuring out gift giving, figuring out events, figuring out cleaning up whatever you need to for the end of the year, decorating. And though these things in of themselves are not anxious, like they don't cause you anxiety, or maybe sometimes they do, but on top of your average things, you now have this plethora of other things stacked on top of it. And if you're anything like me, you have felt this immense pressure to try and do it perfectly, make everybody else happy, not wanting to let anyone down, making sure that you're giving the best gifts, and while also trying to remain within a budget and, not totally sabotage everything so that in the new year, it's like, oh, now I have a big mess to clean up. I have been feeling this immense pressure, and it's not because of I don't struggle with perfectionism. I don't struggle with people pleasing. So I'm like, hey, we have a very specific budget. Me and my husband have very specific financial goals that we're striving towards right now. And so we've been very honest with people like, hey, we have these financial goals that we're reaching towards right now. So our thing this year isn't going to be massive gift giving. I'm going to do some baking, and I'm going to do that with the kids, and we'll do like baking baskets. And if people aren't happy with that, that's not my responsibility, because I'm not worried about what they need. I'm concerned about our financial goals. And so that's something that's really helped me to stay grounded around the financial spending of this. Granted, I kind of went a little bit crazy on my kids, and then recognized what I was doing and dialed it back a bit and started delegating out gifts to people. When other people go, oh, what do they want? And what does she want? And what does he want? And I'm like, oh, I don't need to buy all these things. Other people want to buy stuff for my kids. So we got our kids a couple primary gifts, some books and some clothes, and that's what they get. And it's that's fine. We don't buy our kids stuff all year round, unless the grandparents do. So they get their hauls of toys at Christmas or on their birthdays. That's pretty much it. And thankfully, we have a big family, so there's lots of people to get them lots of things, and so they're absolutely fulfilled in that sense. We're very grateful and very blessed. But I want to go back to this point of making this year intentional and doing so without the overwhelm of anxiety of needing to what? What are you needing to do? The reason that I say it this way is because here's why you have so much anxiety at the end of the year. You have so much anxiety around this time of the year because Christmas is the number one most profit and revenue and profit generating season of the entire year. If you take all the other seasons and all the other holidays combined, Christmas over doubles the spending economically of what all the other holidays do combined. So marketing companies know this. And in lieu of knowing this, based off of numbers that they've tracked for decades that have passed, they also understand buying habits of people. You have to understand marketing agencies and companies understand you better than you understand yourself. They understand human behavior and emotional habits, emotional behaviors better than you understand them for yourself, which in a sense is kind of scary, but at the same time, it's hey, now that you know this, you can finally get ahead of this. And that's what this episode is really here to help you to prepare for. Before I go any further, I want to plug that on December 8th, so next Monday, I'm going to be hosting a free masterclass that is going to go into 4 main components that keep people highly anxious during the holidays. Leaning on coping strategies and vices for numbing anxiety or numbing frustration around this time. So if you're a drinker or you're going to be around people who are drinking, smoking, or other forms of vices and addictions, we're going to be talking about how to navigate that with intention. We're going to be talking about how to navigate challenging relationship dynamics. So family gatherings, if you've been kind of estranged from your family for a while and you're getting back together again, as well as challenging conversations, how to approach those appropriately and respectfully while also recognizing your boundaries and your limits. We're going to be talking about the financial spending aspect of it. So how to really navigate your financial goals first and foremost as a priority, above and beyond making sure everybody has the perfect gift. And lastly, we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be reiterating kind of what I talk on and chat about here today, which is why you even have this anxiety to begin with. So marketing, or I guess I should finish that thought. I am in the middle of doing like 300 things today. And I was like, no, I need to pause, record this episode for you guys, and make sure that this is here for you to ensure that you have the best possible holiday experience yet. So if you'd like to join us, you can jump into the show notes. The link is there, Unwrapping Joy, transforming holiday anxiety into joy. It's free to join us. And if you feel so called to contribute, there's a link to donate to the Christmas Love Project. I am so excited to announce that we have raised almost $1,200 collectively. Congratulations, you guys. This is so amazing. And we still have another 18 days to go. And it's been so much fun going out, taking the kids shopping, letting them know about this Christmas family. So this year we are supporting a single mom with 5 kiddos, 2 of which are teens, and 1 younger child who has disabilities. So it's really amazing to be able to provide gifts for everyone, lots of grocery cards for them to go and get tons of groceries, and gas cards for mom. So this is truly, like, you donating is truly granting a Christmas miracle, which is my favorite thing to do with you guys every single year. This is our 4th one, which is so fun. So all of that to say is in the show notes. You can donate just out of the genuine kindness of your heart. You can jump into the masterclass and really help yourself have an intentional, anxious-free holiday. Yes, it truly is possible. Okay, with that being said, I am going to tell you about why you are anxious during this time. So, as I already alluded, marketing agencies know you better than you know yourself. They understand buying habits. They understand emotional patterns. They understand subconscious programming of psychology. So like the innate reasons why people do what they do. And one of the biggest things that drives spending during this time is unhealed trauma wounds and repressed emotions. No matter who you are and what you've experienced and where you're at in your life, even if you have a therapist, this time of the year will bring up all the inner child wounds, the feelings of not being worthy of things like Christmas. So if you grew up poor or not really having a lot, or things were always very tight or very strict around like money and gift giving or seasonal times or holidays, all of that's going to come up for you. So even if you don't necessarily have the funds to go and spend thousands on gifts and decorations and all that kind of stuff, if you have the open available debt that you can utilize, like credit cards or lines of credits or loans, or can get them, or have any extra funds, oftentimes people will throw any sense of budgeting and intention out the window because of those inner child wounds. And it's really fascinating because what you're doing is you're leaning on, it gives you the same dopamine hit as taking drugs, gambling, sex, or what's the other one? Or drinking will give you. So spending money will give people the same dopamine hit, the same high as all those other vices. Spending money is one of the number one addictions that people have in this world. Now, there is a caveat to that. Obviously, you need to spend money to live. And I'm not saying that buying yourself things is an addiction. What I am saying is when you are in debt, and let's assume you make enough money to live comfortably, and yet even if you want to splurge during this time, I'm also not talking about that either. I am talking about and more so speaking to those who are pairing spending copious amounts of money and are hyper anxious in the process. That's a very key component here. If you are spending lots of money and you are hyper anxious in the process, you are doing so out of a sense of addiction. And we don't like that word very often because we're like, oh, I'm not on meth. I'm not addicted to things. We're all addicted to something. For some people, it's caffeine. For some people, it's social media. For others, it's a combination of different things. But when you are doing something out of anxiety, you are doing so from addiction. And you're doing so because of subconscious wounding that is coming up for you. And I hope that when you're going out to buy your gifts, and we're going to talk about intention and reframing in a moment, but I wanted to start with this because in order for you to become aware of something, you have to become aware of what you're doing. And if I went into saying, okay, just spend time being intentional and, stick to your budget, you'd be like, yep. But if I paint this picture for you first, saying if you're spending money out of anxiety, like you're anxious as you're spending money, and you're doing so from a wounded place and you're fueling a sense of addiction, you're going to think of that next time you go and spend money and ask yourself, am I buying this because of genuinity? Am I buying this out of like abundance? Am I buying this out of, a positive mindset? Or am I doing this negatively? And I want you to have that contrast when you're spending money. And here's why. Because if you don't, you are doing things blindly. If you don't have that contrast in everything you do, you are doing things blindly, right? Most people don't go to the grocery store and swipe their card saying, thank you, Jesus, for all this beautiful, all these beautiful food and all this abundance that you're providing us and these meals in our homes. Most people, when they're swiping their card to buy groceries, don't think that way. Go, oh, okay, now I got to pack these up quick because the next person's coming down the line and I got to make sure these are all in the bag, but I want them to be slightly organized. And I got to make sure that they fit in the cart properly. And oh, shoot, I forgot my recyclable bags and now I need to buy more. And now here's 15 more bags I'm going to throw in this closet and they're going to pour. We get into these frames of mind where we're doing things out of intention. We're doing things out of pure anxiety. And so as you're going into a season that is going to require you to spend more money than usual, I want you to have that contrast, to catch yourself in the moment. Maybe you have the ability to provide gifts and to do the things that you want to do. Even if you go into a little bit of debt, that's fine. But I want you to have that contrast so you can catch yourself in the moment and you can reframe. And even if you don't necessarily have the means to do what you're about to do, but you're excited to do it, maybe gift giving is your love language like it is mine. So it's like, okay, I'm fine to go through this temporary sense of suffering to just, provide what I can within my personal goals, something we're going to talk about in a moment, as well as setting your goals around this time and intentions, and be okay with that, right? I want you to be okay with whatever you're doing is my point. So, okay, advertising companies know that you do this. They know that people's subconscious wounds and repressed trauma and repressed emotions are going to come out in their buying and spending habits during this time of the year. They not only know about it, but they predict for it. They predict for it in what the next season is going to look like. It is also how they predict whether we are in economic recessions, depressions. And that's really important because you know what we're going to start seeing in the new year? I'm going to throw a little prediction in here, even though I don't do this. Yet I'm going to do this. We're going to see a lot more talk about being in a depression, not a recession. And if you actually follow historical numbers surrounding differences between depression eras and recession eras, we are in a depression. So if you've been feeling like your money's not going as far and finances are tight and things are hyper expensive and inflated, it's because they actually are. And despite what the news says where we're in this slight recession, no, friends, according to statistical analysis of the economy, we are in a depression. So economics and advertising companies and corporations make adjustments based on spending habits around Christmas time. Literally, this season dictates and determines how the next 3 quarters of the year is going to go. Isn't that crazy? So you play a really big role in all of this. But here's what I want you to understand. You don't have to subscribe to that. You don't have to subscribe to the anxiety and essentially the mass manipulation that is being placed upon you in order to buy more and get the perfect gift and please everybody else and be a part of this. Yeah, obviously you're going to be a part of it in some way. You're going to buy gifts. You're going to go get the dinners, right? You're going to do the things, but you can do so on your terms with way more intention. And that is my whole point and purpose for today. I'm going to pause there because I want to share something with you that is going to make this next segment, and then we're going to close out, really ingrain it for you of how important this is. I am studying psychology right now. So I'm working to become a licensed behavioral therapist. I'm already certified in it, but I want it through a licensed lens so that I can go on and build my own in-person practice here in the city, which I'm so freaking excited for. I digress. One of the things that I'm learning right now in psychology is about attention, focus, and memory. And there was a study done with 10,000 participants. And these 10,000 participants, one of the largest studies on this particular form of memory, and it has to do with long-term memory, were questioned about long-term memories from 5, 10, 15 years prior. And what they came to find is that 25% of the people who were studied out of this 10,000 accurately recalled relevant information from long-term memories. That means 75% of people were either not recalling accurate information or recalling false information. So their understanding of what had taken place 5, 10, 15 years ago was not actually what had taken place. And here's why I share this with you. Based on this study, if only 25% of people are recalling relatively accurate information on memories, it means that this time of the year is really truly going to be 75% forgotten. You might be going into a season where you're about to spend what is your last Christmas with people, whether you know it or don't. You might be going into a season where you're celebrating a season without people that you had last year. This time, honestly, every day, but as we go into a season that is heavily marketed and heavily manipulated around you buying things for other people, I want to paint the perspective for you that leading with intention and being present is one of the most powerful and important things you can do at this time. Because if you don't have the funds to do all the things, spending the time with the people you love is going to be most important. One of the things that was recalled in this study is gifts that they were given. Less than 15% of people recalled a gift they were given on a specific year. And though it might be so fun and exciting to give gifts and get things, the reality is you're going to forget 85% of what you've gotten. Or other people are going to forget 85% of the time what they got. And I want to paint that perspective for you, because you're likely also about to go into a season with family members that you've been estranged from, albeit legitimate, logical reasons or not. It might be a difference of opinions. It might be a subjective thing. But here's the thing. You don't even know if Boxing Day is going to be a day that you have another day with these people in your life. And that's a harsh reality, but it's true. And I don't wish ill wills or harm over absolutely anyone. God, please protect every listening ear that comes across this message. May you rain down on them with a shield of protection, and their families and their extended families, and you bring them closer to you so that they can know you in Jesus. So one day they can all be together again in your name, in your kingdom, whenever it is that you choose to call them home. I want you to live a long life, but the reality is nobody knows when that next day is our last day. And so as you're going into this season and you're hyper anxious and worried about what people are going to think or what people are going to say or how you're going to afford this or how you're going to do that, Remember that a part of the reason you feel such anxiety is because you've been manipulated to feel that way. So that you buy more. So that you throw this time away. I don't want you to throw this time away. I want you to be as present as possible. Because the truth and reality is, today is the only day that you're really promised. And so if you're feeling anxious, my tip for you is to just pray over it. The demon of shopping, of spending, of consuming is real. The spirit of poverty is real. One encourages you to consume, the other allows you to operate from a place of woundedness, from lack-mindedness. So they work together. And the only thing that can pray them away is you going to Jesus. The only name that can cast out all demons and shadows. So turn to him when you feel anxious. Refocus your priorities. Set your intentions around this time. And let this holiday be the one that you don't forget. Let this be the one where you do recollect in 10, 15 years from now. Because you were present. Because you paid attention. Because you really took it all in. Instead of shopping it away, or guilting it away, or running it away, or trying to avoid it. And here's the thing. If you end your year off like this, and you carry this into the next year, you will already be starting off as a changed person for the better. So I hope this episode really helped you to just come back to center, come back to focus, come back to priority, come back to God during this time. And if you seek additional support around navigating conversations and spending around this time and time management, then come and join us in the Unwrapping Joy Masterclass. And of course, we're always lovingly welcoming all your donations for the Christmas Love Project to grant a Christmas miracle. All right, I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. We will chat next week.